Hello. Welcome to the Tony Crumb Show. Thank you for tuning in and continue to show support for the podcast. I'd like to really, truly thank you all for help supporting the show by listening and tuning in. Just got back from the gym. Fucking killed it over there. I noticed a lot going to the gym. I'm like sweating, like I'm soaked, just drenched full of sweat. And I feel a hell of a lot different from when I started working out at the gym. It's been one hell of a journey so far with this fitness journey, if you will, and kind of just upgrading myself physically, because before I wasn't really doing a whole lot of things in terms of lifting and cardio and things of that nature, and I'm starting to feel a lot different, and not just in my performance, but just in living in general. I feel a lot healthier than what I once did, and it's actually put me into a pretty good healthy mental state, especially going to the gym, because I've heard it through other things on social media, and people put stuff out there in terms of working out and lifting weights and all this other stuff. That there's one thing I've learned going to the gym. It's that those weights never lie to you. They don't make fun of you. They don't judge you. They don't put you down. If anything, they tell you the truth. They're honest. It humbles you in every single way, and if anything, encourage you to do more and to do better. And that's what I've come to learn going to the gym and going there on a almost daily basis. I go at least 4 to 5 days out of the week, because I have the time to right now, and it's been, mentally it kind of stables me, because with all the things that I've gone through and continue to go through, the gym has completely leveled me out, but only for a certain amount of time. I was just discussing this, that, because of all the things that's happened, I kind of gotten a little PTSD from all this, because I wake up during the night in almost the same fashion in which led up to the moment I was told about the events that happened pertaining to my wife, Gabby. I had woken up around 2:30 in the morning and kind of fell back asleep. And then I got the knock on my door at 3:30 in the morning to be informed about everything. And I still go through that almost daily. I'll wake up in the middle of the night around 2:30. And or at 3:30, which is the 3 o'clock isn't so much. I mean, I used to wake up at 3 in the morning just daily, just because I don't know what that was about. I did that ever since I was, I guess a kid, a teenager. I'd wake up at 3 o'clock. It got to a point where I'd wake up so much at a certain time that I had to start tracking it, because I thought it was weird that I'd wake up in the middle of the night. I'm sure everyone else does, but when I started to realize what time I was waking up, I didn't know what that meant. But there was a long time, and still do, I wake up at 3 in the morning. But now I wake up around 2:30, or at 3:30, and there's this feeling of expecting the worst, but nothing happens. But it still haunts me. That time still haunts me to this day, and it'll probably never go away, to be quite honest. I think that's something I'm gonna have to live with the rest of my life. And to me, it's always going to be a horrible reminder of what was. And I don't know if there's any shaking it, But going to the gym, though, it's almost like work. You go there majority of your days out of the week. You see the same people in terms of establishment, and it feels good to get compliments, man. I really gotta say, I don't get them much, but there's people who see me at the gym, and they just this like I think it was either yesterday or the other day. This man I see, elderly man, a little bit older than me, obviously, but he looked at me, and we always say hi. I say hi to a lot of people there, because we see each other all the time now. And I've been going for the past 6 months. So, you see these people for 6 months on a constant level. You get to, it's crazy. It's like I hardly even know them, even more so just going there. I still don't know them, but when we see each other, we're just, boom, hit a fist bump. How you doing? And get to it, But one of the guys is like, brother, I'm so proud of you, dude. You just keep coming. Just keep coming in, dude, and keep working out. You're doing good, man. You look in great shape. You're getting in great shape, and it feels good to get complimented like that. Because I seemingly just kind of work my ass off in the gym, doing what I can, and ultimately because prior to Gabby's passing, we talked about a lot of stuff, ironically, in terms of certain things. And one of the things was, I made a few promises to her prior to all this. I had told her that I would get in better shape and in the best shape I could possibly get by the time we got married, which would have been this year, June 6th. And, I've really never felt better in terms of working out and health. And I hope, she's watching and cheering me on as I do these things, because there's days where I go in the gym, I just don't feel like going. I don't want to do anything. And that's like a common thing with everything in terms of life right now. I don't want to move forward. I don't want to move on. I don't want to do anything without her. And it's unfortunate that the way this world works is, unfortunately, it doesn't stop and wait for you to catch up. It moves on without you. And at some point you got to get on the train and move forward. And even more so, it's because it's the promise I made to Gabby that I would get in the best shape I can for the wedding, and not just for the wedding, beyond it. And that's what I plan on doing and keep doing. And not only that, it goes beyond the promise I made for Gabby. It's also something I want to do for my daughter. I need to be here, I need to be here. And especially coming from someone like me who didn't really have their father around, I feel like I owe it to her to kind of be there and be the best father I could possibly be. And she started doing this. I don't know where she got it from, and it almost got me teary-eyed a little bit. I'm setting her up for dinner and getting her plate ready, and I she wanted some chicken nuggets, and I made her some chicken nuggets. And, she looked at me and she says, "You're the best, Daddy." And that caught me so bad. Like, that one really, really touched me a lot, because, at the end of the day, you can always get compliments from other people saying you're doing a great job, Dad. It seems like you're being the best father you could be, and all this other stuff. And that's all good and all. It's all welcomed, obviously. It's nice to hear that the work you're putting in is being recognized by other people, but none of it is as important to hear than from your own child. And especially me, where for whatever reason, I just need reassurance that I'm doing something good, regardless of what it is. But to hear her tell me, "You're the best, Daddy," hits hard. It hits hard. Even getting her ready for school, and she's starting to like her outfits and the way I dress her and what I give to her to put on. And she she puts on her little cowboy boots and lifts them up. She sees her grandma, she calls her Jima, and she'll go, "Look, Jima," and she'll lift her boots up in the air for her and kind of do like a little pose and twist to the side and pose. She cracks me up, that little one. She is such a character, and it's nice to see, because it's times like this I feel like these are the moments my dad missed out on in having a son. But just having a daughter is like, I feel like it's so different, you know what I mean? And just she's my little princess, and to see her and advance in terms of knowledge and personality and everything that comes with a child growing up, just seeing all that, it puts such a big smile to me, and warms my heart a lot, to see all that stuff. And as a parent, just it's the best feeling in the world. I can't explain it any more further than that. But I like I said, I made these promises to Gabby to do these things. I had told her that I would get going on getting Connie into school, in which I did. She's in school and she's doing great. Everyone knows her already. She's only been there for a month, and everyone just knows her. And even the kids, some of the kids I'll walk in with her and take her to her classroom, and they're just like, "Hi, Connie." And it's so crazy. That girl is such a magnet in terms of social. She's a social butterfly for sure. She's just a magnet, a people magnet for sure. People just love her and feel her energy, and she's so pure hearted. And I gotta get her ready, you know what I mean, to defend herself too, because at some point people are gonna take her kindness for weakness, and I don't ever want that to happen. Obviously, she's my daughter, but she can be, not in a bad way, but in a good way. She's like a snake, she's coiled up and looks pretty at times. But if you're not paying attention and you make one wrong move on her, though, she'll strike. She'll strike. And I gotta teach her how to defend herself at some point too. Just not in a bad way, but in a good way. So when these things happen, she knows what to do, like what to do, and to, defend herself, But I had to take off on my YouTube channel. I had to take off the first episode. I was getting ready to drop the second episode, which this will now be the second episode, and what was supposed to be episode 2 will now be episode 3. But I was getting ready to drop the new episode of the pod, and I noticed on the first episode there was a copyright claim, and what happened is that when I first looked into doing the pod and getting everything set up, because obviously there's certain rules and guidelines that you need to follow in order to get these things out, and depending on viewership and other things of that nature, you can obviously you can make money off these things and get a profit, but to do so, you have to follow rules and guidelines, and one of those was to not use any licensed music or anything of that nature for commercial use, and which I went on the internet, checked it out. I found this song that I was using for my intro outro of the show, and it was labeled as license free music. But when I decided to use it and place it on the show as an intro outro, I guess it wasn't so free after all. Which, I should have known better, because if there's anything I've learned throughout my course of time on this earth and anything else, is that nothing's free. So I went back into the lab, if you will, and started creating my own intro outro song for the show. Yeah, it's coming along pretty good. It's I did some things and worked with some tools and made some beats that it's a lot harder to do these things than not. You would think, oh, just make a beat and that's easy, whatever, but it ain't so easy, you know what I mean? Because you have to first find the sound of what it is that you want. You need to find the legit tone of what it is that you're trying to describe in the song, because the song itself describes what it is that you're putting out. And obviously I needed something to give a little energy to the show. Obviously an intro kind of gives you, for me personally, I just wanted something to give you that energy of like, okay, the show's about to start, the pod is about to start. Let me get ready. I'm feeling it. That sounds, you know what I mean? Like I wanted something to be something goofy kind of, because at some point I still want to make people laugh and have a good time while you guys, tune in and watch the pod and listen, but there are times where I'm going to have discussions like I'm having now and just kind of giving an update of what's going on, and not in terms of my life and just some of the things I go through. And some of the things I go through are corking itself, you know what I mean? And I'm sure we're going to have a laugh or two about some things that I do and say or whatever. But I created this song or beat that I felt is a nice thing to do, but the difficulty in putting this beat together, you got to find the right sound, the timing in which you blend these sounds together, the tempo, all that goes into putting all this together. And you think like you put all the drums, the drums, maybe horns or keys, you name it. When you put all these things together, you think, oh, I just made this, and then you realize, shit, it's only 16 seconds. Like, what are you going to do with 16 seconds? Obviously there's more to make and to have it last a little longer for an intro or even for the outro, you know what I mean? Who knows? But, I was able to make something, and I just I thought I could get the easy route in finding something easy to give to the show. And clearly, if you want something done, you got to do it yourself. And that's exactly what I did. So now, in terms of production, the way I put this out, music, everything, it's all me, myself, and I. No AI, baby. And that's what it's going to be. That's what I have to do it. That's how I have to do it. Yeah. So I feel like I made some of these, making this beat. I did things on accident that kind of gave me like, oh, I didn't mean to do that, but damn, that sounds pretty dope. Like, I kind of like it. And I hope it gives you guys a little bit of something to kind of hear and anticipate, in terms of listening to the show, or just get you ready to listen, I in one of the episodes, in the first episode that I talked about some things in terms of needing to move on, and talking briefly about it in the beginning as well, moving on. Though that's not easy. I was actually just speaking to my cousin, and we hadn't spoken in quite a while, and not just her. I get it from a lot of family members and friends that I haven't spoken to since services for Gabby and everything else. I kind of get this thing where I'm being told, like, hey, I'm just calling just to check up on you or say hi, and we haven't talked in a while, and they feel as if they don't know the right time in which to call me, and or if it's the right time to talk to me just yet. And I completely understand where most are coming from in terms of that. But I would say, for those who are wondering and want to get in contact with me, just call me. I think I just think if you want to talk to me, just call me, text me, message me. I'm on Insta, on Facebook, even through here on YouTube. Go on YouTube and comment and say hi. Just something. Go ahead and contact me. And I know for those who have contacted me at one point, and I may have not replied back, and it's not nothing personal. It's not that I didn't want to reply back. It was just I was in a different headspace then, and I'm still kind of in that headspace at times. But I think I'm more in I'm more in a space now where I feel like I can reply. I still have difficulty replying back right away. So if you do contact me, you text me, don't feel too bad that I don't text you right at that or reply back to you right at that second. Like I said, it's nothing personal. It's nothing on you. It's just I do admit, though, it's a bad habit that I have now where I'll get a text and I'll read it, and then for whatever reason it is, I reply back in my head. Like, I don't know what that is. Like, what I'm gonna reply back to you. I just, I'm always doing something. So the moment I see a text, I'll be like, okay, I'll reply, and after I do this, and then something else comes up, and then I'm getting caught in doing that. And you would think for someone who doesn't really work at this point, or works at a limited basis, they'd have more free time and or headspace to even reply to a text or email or whatever. But I'm still busy, and I can only imagine once I go full time in terms of working and everything else, I'm probably going to just lose my mind, But for those who are trying to contact me, talk to me, hit me up. Don't be afraid. Don't be hesitant to hit me up. I will reply. I will get back to you. I don't want you guys feeling like you can't talk to me or anything like that. Because it's funny, I'll talk to my mom or my brother, and they'll tell me like, oh, so and so asked about you, and I feel like, so they can't call me and ask me that. They have to talk to other people in order to get any form of update on what it is that I'm doing or how I'm feeling. I mean, no offense to my mom or brother, but at times they don't know how I'm feeling, and not to say that they don't ask or they don't want to know. It's just, there's just times where I don't tell them how I'm feeling. And it's better to hear it from me than anyone else in terms of just how I'm doing. But don't feel too afraid to contact me. I will contact you back. I will reply. I love all you guys, including my family. I love you guys to death, and I love you guys more than you will ever know. And it's just, death and grief is, like I said before, is a weird concept in itself. And the grieving part in all this is it fluctuates. You find yourself having a good day, and especially on sunny days where it's not so hot, not so cold, it's just perfect, or what's seemed to be perfect. And you find yourself enjoying the day, and then something just suddenly you see or hear something that just reminds you of that person you lost. And for me, I'll hear something, or I'll hear a song that we used to listen to all the time, and or if I might catch it on a good day. There was this butterfly. I mean, I've always heard stories about, if you see a butterfly, that's a lost one, a loved one, that is almost like a message, just trying to tell you hello. And the crazy part is that when Gabby passed, and I was going to the police station to ask some questions pertaining to her accident, I saw this butterfly, and it wasn't just your normal butterfly. And some people see the orange butterfly with like kind of oval, like wings. And I would go outside and I wouldn't see butterflies that much, but the one butterfly I saw after Gabby's passing was this yellow butterfly, and the wings were kind of like in a triangular shape. They weren't so rounded, they were sharp and pointy. And this in particular yellow butterfly flew around me and hovered over me for quite a bit. And it was as if, to me, I felt, that's her. That butterfly is her. And this was while I was in Gardena, and I moved back here into San Pedro, and I'm in my mom's garden, just sitting on the front porch and just chilling. And for whatever reason that is, because it's not that I've never, within my course of time, I've always, visit here at my mom's, and I've always seen her garden. I'd never seen this butterfly before. And it wasn't until after Gabby's passing that I saw in Gardena and moved back here. I saw that same yellow butterfly hovering around my mom's garden, as if she knew I was here. And from time to time, like I said, during this grieving period, I'll just walk walk in, or, you know, or if I'm just so happy to be here. My mom's just sitting here on the porch, just looking out, sitting in the front yard and looking at her garden. I see her butterfly, and, you know, I see it floating around, and, you know, I'll just look at it and stare. And, you know, those are those moments where, like I said, you're having a good day and you're just enjoying that moment, enjoying what the day's bringing you. And not to say that it ruins my moment. It just brings such sadness when I see that butterfly, her butterfly, because I miss her so much, you know. It just reminds me that she's no longer here, and having her urn and her pictures is all I have left of her in terms of seeing her. And when I see that butterfly, I see her butterfly, it's only for a brief moment, you know. And it hurts because, you know, I've been trying to dream of her just so I can say hi to her. And I found this out during therapy. You know, I had these questions for her, and I really wanted to ask everything in detail pertaining to her accident. And I think maybe she hasn't visited me in that way in terms of dreams because of the questioning I have. I think the last thing she wants to hear from me and or experience with me is a time of questioning. I think she just wants me to be in a happy state that I'm even there in her presence. And in terms of the dreams I have with her, they felt so real that I thought that the dreams I was having was my actual reality. That this life I'm living right now was the nightmare. I feel like the true life I'm living is the nightmare. This is the dream. I felt this is the dream. And the dream that I was actually in was my life. I felt like all this was non-existent. And when I see her in my dreams, I would tell her, like, what happened? Like, in terms of, like, why did you... I felt like she faked her death, you know what I mean? And I would have these moments where it's just like, where have you been? You know, it's already been because like I said, these times where, and it's happened so quick. You go from 1 month to 2 months to 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. We're now getting ready to hit 7 months. And it's just like, the time has gone by so quickly. And before you know it, like, you know, we're in a moment where, you know, we're about 5 months away from hitting a year. And that's just fucking mind blowing to know that is where we're at now. We're in this moment where it's almost been a full year. And these dreams that I have of her, I'm more shocked that I see her than just acknowledging that it's the dream. I have this moment of denial of, like, that this is this life I'm living now is the nightmare, and the dream that I have is the you know, actual life. But it's vice versa, big time. It's complete roles reverse, and I have to have a sense of clarity in those moments where I have to understand that the dream is the dream and not reality, and that this reality is not a dream. And I think the moment I feel comfortable enough and understand that with a little bit of clarity, I think I can have those dreams where me and Gabby can meet again. Because I just, you know, Lord knows how much I miss that woman. I, 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 having her here every day, waking up next to her and, hearing her, like I said, having conversations, laugh, joking, everything else that comes with a partnership and everything else. I miss that terribly, and I miss that with her. And, I have quite a bit of things I have left over that remind me of her. I have these set of earrings and a ring that she had when she went to the I forgot how it happened. I think we had went to the mall, and she was looking at some things and had found a set. It was like a ring and earrings that I have here. She wore at my cousin's wedding, and she had worn it a few times thereafter. And they say that when you have these certain things that you hold on to, jewelry, clothes, just things that they would wear, that if you hold on to them, that their energy is still attached to those things, especially if they worn it consistently. And I still have her pillow that she used to sleep on, and her jacket that she would wear to work at times. And I placed that jacket onto the pillow, and I still at times find myself holding onto that pillow and clinging it pretty tightly, because in some weird way it feels like she's there. And maybe I should hold on to that at times where I do feel like I can't sleep, because there's been quite a few times actually, as I lay there trying to go back to sleep, I will hold it, and I do go back to sleep. I'm just thinking about it now, I do go to sleep, and maybe that's my key. Maybe that's my pathway to her, to sleep and dream and meet her there, meet her in that dream state. Because I really do feel like that's the only time I can see her. And I want to find ways on how to see her more, or feel her more. Because, like I said, I have her shrine here, her altar, so to speak, where I'll go to her. That's her urn right there. This is her urn with her ashes, and I wake up every morning and I kiss it and tell her good morning. Every night I'll go to it, kiss it, tell her good night. And I have those moments where I'm just, those are my moments that I still tell her good morning and good night. And that hasn't changed for me since. And for whatever reason, that almost feels like a normalcy. You know what I mean? Like that makes in a weird way, that makes everything feel normal. And That I guess that's those are the things that I have to keep doing in order to feel some sense of normalcy, just keep doing the things I did as if she, while she was here alive. And I guess that's the best way. That's the best thing I can do in order to keep her memory alive and keep her spirit alive. You know what I mean? And I find myself finding new ways and continuing to do things in order to keep her spirit alive in that way too. You know what I mean? And I just got to keep doing it. I've started to get this thing too where I'll be walking wherever place, like obviously I working out, you have to walk through the facility and everything, and I'll start walking and I swear, like in my peripheral vision, I'll pass by a lady and it'll look just like Gabby, and I have to do the double take, but then like it's not her, you know what I mean? Or taking Connie to school, I'll walk by somebody and again I have to and I get that moment of where like I'm starting to have people that look like her, and in certain times, I guess, when I'm not seeing, and maybe that's her way of letting me know that she's there. Now she's getting herself in position to, just to have just a tiny glance of what she can do in order to make herself present in front of me, in some weird way. I mean, I really don't know how the spirit world works and what they do once they figure out. I mean, to me, I feel like they have a certain power. You know what I mean? Like they have these powers that we can't understand or come to terms with or regulate. But they just have this newfound thing where they can do certain things to make them appear in small doses, and what they can. Like I said, the whole butterfly thing. And I guess it happens more often than not, and I have to come to terms with those are the times I'm gonna get. You know what I mean? And but the dreams is where it's at for me, because the dreams that I have had with her, I get to see her full face, look into her eyes and everything else, and that's what I miss the most. And I just want to talk to her and tell her hi, and I still love her and will always love her. And I just want to give her the biggest hug and the biggest kiss ever, and just to let her know that I am doing my best that I could possibly do to be a parent to our daughter. And that I will continue to do my best. Things just, they're just, it's a challenge at times though, to keep moving forward. And it's almost like a disservice to Connie to not move forward in that weird way as well, because it's ultimately, if I'm always sad and in a put myself in a bad mood, what does that teach Connie? You know what I mean? And what does that teach her and how to show her emotions? And I have to that's where it comes to that thing where the world doesn't stop for you. Life doesn't stop for you, regardless of what it is you're going through, and including grief and sadness, you still have to show up. You still have to be a role model. You still have to do things in order for your child to learn. And that's just the thing of it all, you know. And that's the weird part of it all, you know. That's the thing that gets me still, you know. And I want to say that some of this stuff can be done easily, but it's not, you know. And one of the things I found out through therapy was that I was being told is I have to learn how to find myself again. You know, clearly I felt like I was the best version I could possibly be of myself. And I always had a smile and I had a laugh, and I felt like I lost that completely, you know. I feel like I've lost my sense of humor at times, or my sense of just my sense of happiness. And one would say that's expected, but I don't know. You know, obviously I don't know, and probably one of the even weirder things and crazier things about that is I know some people have. I know I'm not the only person who's gone through something like this, but the thing is, you know, I know these things don't happen every day, and I know these things are in rare occurrences at times. And when you look back to see how many, like, when you look at these things, I mean, it's kind of happened a lot, you know. But does it happen every day? No. But to say it doesn't happen or happen much, you know, you'd be surprised on how much these sort of things happen. But to lose your wife in a way that wasn't. It's one thing to lose your significant other due to the course of life, you know. Every beginning has its end, and I believe that, you know, we're all going to die at some point, right? And one would say, you know, I guess the dream would be to pass away at an older age, and that's what, you know, that's what anyone would expect. To die any sooner than what you're supposed to be is a crime in itself. You know, I feel outside of you putting yourself in that position, you know what I mean? There are people who, you know, I see people who just who eat like crazy, and you know, you see these influencers too. Like, there's just some people who just eat, and you see how much they overly eat and put themselves in a position that's not so good either. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. You know, you put yourself in a position to get diabetes or things like that. And, you know, it's kind of like, what did you expect? You know, you do drugs or overly drink and get yourself in a position where your health starts declining, and it's like, what did you expect? You know what I mean? But to lose your life unexpectedly for something that wasn't supposed to happen is obviously an entirely different thing in itself. You know, I always and often pictured me and Gabby being old together and being that you know, that elderly couple that just, you know, that people would look at and be like, damn, that's that's what I want, and that's what I would want out of life, and we would be that example, but just I think that's the thing that hurts me the most. Outside of other things, I mean, obviously the one that really does hurt me the most is knowing that Connie has to live her life without her mother. That one pains me a lot. And I often said during my course of therapy, I said, I explained to the therapist that, I can understand at some point, like, or come to terms if me and Gabby weren't meant to be with each other. I can understand that. It would be hard for me to co-parent in that way, and whatever the case may be, if we weren't meant to be together, we weren't meant to be together, but at least Connie would have her mother here. And that's not the case, no longer the case. You know what I mean? And that's the one that pains me the most, because there are going to be times where I'm not going to be able to do what a mother can do for her. And not to say that anyone else, in terms of, she's got her grandma, her Jima, she's got her aunt, her Tia Ray Ray, who can kind of help her and guide her through some womanly things that are to come up, and or she may experience that I may not have, obviously, that experience and or knowledge of, and she's gonna want to know what to do in those situations. And I know there are some things that I'm not going to be able to help her with, and then that's where her mom comes in. But like I said, there's just it's those things that gets to me the most. But I know we're gonna get through it. I know we're gonna be okay. I know we're gonna be okay. You know what I mean? Gonna do my best to steer her in the right way and in the best direction possibly. She, having to be a parent in this time, especially of grief, and I really don't know how. I mean, I feel like maybe this happens. Maybe this never goes away. You know what I mean? Obviously, it doesn't. I mean, I love this woman so much that maybe this type of grief doesn't go away, but it does. It can be. How do I say it without sounding too messed up or whatever? But I mean, at some point, it gets. I mean, I guess there's a happiness to look at in all this grief, right? Like, for me to even have the privilege to be loved the way she loved me, and to know her all entirely as the person she was. I have to be grateful for that, even the sadness that comes with the grieving. There's also, in a weird sense of all this, is appreciation and a sense of gratitude, because I have to be grateful that I was even blessed to even get to know her. I was blessed to even have a relationship with her. I was blessed to be loved by her, because that's just what it is. I didn't think that would be such a, I to get that from her was the best thing. And that's just, that's something I have to really be grateful for. But we're getting close to the end of this episode. Like I said, I want to thank all of you guys who've listened. I want to thank everyone who's subscribed to the show on YouTube. I want to thank everyone who will continue to listen and show support. Don't feel hesitant. Like I said, of those who are wondering how to contact me, or who's been wanting to contact me, or feel they don't know when's the right time, don't feel. I think now more than ever is the right time to contact me and catch up and talk. And don't feel hesitant to call me. Don't feel hesitant to text me or whatever. In some ways to get in contact with me. There's plenty of ways, including with the podcast. You can go on Insta, The Tony Crumb Show. You can go on YouTube and look up The Tony Crumb Show and hit that subscribe button. You can always go on to, I think my Twitter's still up. You can go on, I think it's The Tony Crumb. And you can find me on there. It's very easy to get in contact with me and to talk and things of that nature. But just don't feel like it's a personal thing if I don't reply back right away. I will get back to that reply as soon as I can. And, I just want to say thank you for those who have contacted me and caught up with me and checked in on me and has been there for me. Since all this has happened. And, I don't know where I would be without those people who have been with me and has helped me get through this as well. I can't thank you guys enough, and I love all of you for those who really helped me out, get me through those times and get through this time. And I just want to say thank you to all those who've helped me. And, I just don't know where I would be without you guys. But continue to tune in to the Tony Crumb Show podcast. And this will be it. This is our time for today. Gonna keep doing some more episodes and hopefully give you guys a little sneak peek into the life of Tony Crumb here and there. Gonna get into some other, hopefully I can get some more content out there for you guys to laugh at and enjoy. But in the meantime, in between time, you guys have a good day, and I love you guys, and I'll see you around. Peace out.